Hey guys, my name is Devontae and I sacrificed my time so you don't have to. I figure I should talk about this while it's still hot, while I'm still massively awake, because it's still kind of surreal a little tiny bit that CM Punk is back in WWE. Obviously more information will come out this later on. I don't think I've seen, actually, because this entire video right here, I don't think I've ever done this on my channel before, but we're actually just gonna start. Man, I don't know how to reflect off of this. Let me see something real quick. I'm very curious. Did he talk about this? No, Tony Khan is yet to reflect off of this. So we're gonna read a couple of articles live. I think I've done this maybe once or twice in the past. Maybe when Cody Rhodes returned, I think I remember doing something along the lines of this. And actually, I think I did this during the whole brawl out situation with CM Punk. But rather than me actually give my opinions about CM Punk in the beginning of the video, we're going to talk about this later on in the video. Obviously, more stuff is going to come out when this is all said and done, but I'm going to read a couple of articles for you guys. This is all going to be, thank God, again, I hate using them, but again, they're the only ones that are reflecting on this in real time, Ringside News. I'll leave all the links via their website rather than linking to you anything else, because again, this is all live, and actually some of these I think they did their own their journalistic integrity to reflect off of this. So I want to read you guys some articles reflecting off of the CM Punk return so far from what we know. Again, more things are going to come out obviously with AEW and Tony Khan and his reflection off of this, and we'll discuss that at the time, but let's talk about this real quick. CM Punk signed WWE contract just before Survivor Series return. War Games main event at Survivor Series as WWE hosted its last premium live event of the year at Chicago's Allstate Arena. Drew McIntyre and Judgment Day lost that big match, and then CM Punk returned to steal the spotlight in a big way. PWI Insider has reported that CM Punk officially signed with WWE today. The deal between both sides reportedly came together over the last week during their initial communications. The contract is described as several years in length, indicating it's a multi-year agreement. While Punk's schedule details remain unknown, he is expected to wrestle under his new talent contract. There are discussions about delaying CM Punk's return until the Royal Rumble in January of 2024 in St. Petersburg, Florida, my neck of the woods. However, sources suggested that waiting could have led to leaks within WWE about their plans. The company rushed CM Punk's return, allowing him to only drive about 20 minutes from his house to the Allstate Arena, a venue with significant historical significance for him. CM Punk has made a lot of history in Allstate Arena, and Survivor Series gave him a new moment. We'll read more about this. If you want to, actually, no, I'm not going to read more because this is just pretty much talk about other things. You guys can read the, if you want to read the rest of the articles, again, I'm just focusing on the more core points, if you will. But again, the links are in the description box if you want to read more. Check this out also, because this is something that's a little bit more interesting in my opinion. So wait, actually, let me talk about this. Triple H discloses TKO's involvement in CM Punk's return. I think that's something that's a little bit more important to discuss also. So here, hang on for a second, guys. Just waiting for this to load up. So this is during the press conference they had earlier on. I was watching this also to see if CM Punk was going to make a remark while my video was uploading. Triple H says during the press conference, and I quote, "There has been zero push from anybody past WWE. You know, it's myself, Nick Khan. To be honest, very few people knew about it past that. It's very funny, really, because now there's this mystery entity behind WWE. Yeah, we're doing our thing, and we're trusted to do our thing, and we're trusted to do what's right for business. To be honest, the top people in TKO were watching the show going, holy shit, it's a good thing." So again, that's remarked off of the press conference from WWE. If you guys want to go watch the whole entire press conference, it's actually a pretty good watch. Kind of gives a little bit of insight to not only CM Punk, but also to Becky Lynch and Charlotte's whole situation. You get some remarks from Cody Rhodes and how he felt about CM Punk. It's a good video if you guys want to go check it out. I actually uploaded this short not too long ago if you guys want to look at it. It's the whole Seth Rollins being angry at CM Punk, but you know, I don't want to read an article because, again, it's kind of self-explanatory if you watch my short, but just to reflect off of it, you know, Seth Rollins, he was reacting to this very harshly, saying, fuck you and all this stuff, which I know people want to call this a work, and I can understand why this is a work. I'm pretty much assured that this is a work, but there is like 40%, I would say 60% sure this is a work, and 40% sure that this might be somewhat of a shoot, kinda, only from the standpoint that Seth Rollins is like literally sticking his middle finger and yelling a bunch of expletives, and I can't help but believe, like, I don't know if Seth Rollins was aware that fans were going to record him. Maybe he was. That's why I'm saying that I'm 60% sure that this is a work. But at the same time, was he aware that there were cameras around that were going to, you know, record him yelling and screaming like a maniac in regards to CM Punk? I don't know. But tell me this then. If that's a work, right, then explain to me Drew McIntyre. Because I want to read this for you also, because apparently it seems like Drew McIntyre is also frustrated. Drew McIntyre displayed visible anger after WWE Survivor Series 2022 concluded. As reported by PW Insider Elite, Drew McIntyre swiftly exited the ring, headed backstage, and forcefully shut his locker room door. Drew McIntyre then changed into a sweater and promptly left the Allstate Arena, leaving an impression that he's not happy. His conspicuous agitation has become a notable subject of discussion, both in the locker room and throughout the company. Further updates will be provided as they arise. We will have to see if Drew McIntyre returns to television in a different mood. Again, if you guys want to read more about that, that's very conspicuous because Drew McIntyre's contract is coming up very, very soon. I'm not sure if he signed a new contract or not, but I think he's due in March, I believe. I could be mistaken. But there's a lot of people, again, I'm not sure if people can pick on me if they want to, that's fine. I'd rather be proven that this is a work, thinking it's a shoot, than thinking it's a shoot and being proven that it's a work. You know what I mean? So I'll go into this saying, again, 60% of me believe it's a work, but I'm not completely denying the fact that this could be a shoot as far as how Seth Rollins feels about it. But from Drew McIntyre's perspective, I can only believe that he feels like, hey, I'm being upstaged again by a different person. And I'll go a little bit more deeper into this with you guys. And this is somewhat of a theory, but I would not be surprised if this isn't the case, considering that CM Punk allegedly came 20 minutes before the show ended, meaning he most likely came during the War Games match, the men's War Games match, that is. I'm willing to believe, especially because, you know, there was no leaked reports of CM Punk coming to Survivor Series. On the contrary, there were a lot of people not only downplaying, but outright saying it's not happening. A lot of people, a lot of creative people saying that this was not going to occur. And my belief is, I don't think any of the talent was in the know, or at least even like talking amongst each other and believing that CM Punk was going to come, because it wasn't even just them. I remember seeing a report yesterday about creative saying there's a path that could be made with CM Punk coming to WWE. That's a creative person not even having a clue that CM Punk he was already in contact with WWE a week ago, talking about, oh, well, there's a path to be made about CM Punk. Nobody knew that this was going to occur. And to be quite frank, Triple H, got to give the man his due. He worked the shit out of all of us. I got worked, and I'm the one that made a video like not even 2 months ago saying that, hey, CM Punk is going to return at Survivor Series. I was already concluded in my mind up until like maybe a month ago that or hell, not even, maybe 2 weeks ago, that CM Punk was coming to WWE. And then maybe as of 2-3 weeks ago, I started to think, okay, well, this is not going to happen. CM Punk is not going to come to WWE. And credit where credit is due. Triple H worked the shit out of me. Like, and I think you guys can say the same thing too. It's okay. It's okay to admit it. Triple H worked the shit out of all of us. He worked Dave Meltzer. He worked Sean Ross Sapp. He worked all the people in creative. He even worked the wrestlers, which one can say whether or not that's a good thing or a bad thing. Remember, Eric Bischoff had a bit of a history of working the wrestlers, and they did not like the fact that Eric Bischoff did this. Now, whether or not it's a good thing or a bad thing is based off your own perspective. You know, one may say that, hey, the wrestlers being worked is a good thing because they talk way too damn much. But at the same time, isn't that kind of creating a precedent where the workers won't trust you for certain situations? That's where I'm getting at when I'm saying, like, maybe it's not a good thing to work the boys, but then again, you know, maybe it's a good thing. It's very confusing right now. Now, obviously, we have to wait to hear whether or not AEW or Tony Khan or a representative of the country has something of the company has anything that they want to say about this. Then we get into my personal perspective, and again, like I talked about in my Survivor Series video, I want to go a little bit more in depth into this. Because on one hand, I can see the profitability perspective with CM Punk in regards to, you know, the box office draw that he can be with the WWE machine behind him. I talked about this in my original CM Punk video when I said and suggested that he was going to come back to WWE like 2 months ago. But now that he's actually back, I have to ask. Actually, there's a bunch of things I want to ask. Actually, hang on. Okay. There's actually a bunch of things that I want to ask. And people are going to probably look at me weird when I say this, but I think it's worthy to at least explore. It's not to confirm whether or not this happens to be the case. This is why I want some feedback from you guys. You let me know how you feel about this. Do you feel it's appropriate to suggest that CM Punk left AEW on purpose? Like, all the things that he did with Jack Perry and all this stuff was kind of a, you know, I don't want to say he worked, but it's not. And people can act like, oh, you know, like, oh, this is so stupid, this has never happened. Yes, it has happened before. It's not as if this hasn't happened in the annals of professional wrestling. If you aren't familiar with the situation or the story, Brian Pillman, God rest his soul, did the same thing back in 95 or 96 when he worked the shit out of Eric Bischoff to get out of his contract to come to WWE. You know, the whole situation with him saying, hey, you know, because the whole situation with Brian Pillman and the Four Horsemen and that storyline and him getting his ass kicked, or I can't remember the whole storyline, but I remember him, you know, having the match with, I think it was Kevin Sullivan, and he was like, hey, I respect you, Booker, man, and then he left, and then he tried to get Eric Bischoff, which he did succeed, to write something that looked really, really legitimate, that he was granted an exit out of WCW, and he used that legitimately to get into WWE. Now, obviously, there's a lot of nuance, you know, in regards to that conversation, or in regards to the whole situation. I think Eric Bischoff does a really good job at talking about it, obviously, because it's coming from his perspective that he wasn't worked. But the very, very real situations that Brian Pillman did exactly what I'm starting to believe what CM Punk did in order to get out of his contract to go to WWE. So it's not as if this hasn't been done before. Yes, it has been done before. And I'm looking at this and I'm starting to question, did CM Punk legitimately just use this as an opportunistic time to start shit with people within AEW, or look at this situation and use this as a way to get out of his contract to go work for WWE? You got to admit, the timing does kind of line up. I mean, he was backstage back in the summertime talking to people in WWE, building bridges and apologizing to certain people. And you can honestly say, because it is kind of conspicuous, that WWE will just allow a guy to come back into their company who caused all this drama backstage at a different company. For what? It's not as if they actually need him necessarily. So I think it's appropriate to ask, did CM Punk do this on purpose, the whole situation that happened with AEW, just to get out of his contract to come to WWE? Is that not okay to ask at the very least? It's not to say that it's confirmed, but is it okay to at least pose the theory that this could be the situation that occurred? And then we get to the bottom line of all this. Is CM Punk needed in WWE? As I talked about in my Survivor Series review, I don't think he's needed, but it doesn't hurt that he's back either. Now, people may look at me and they may say to themselves that, oh, Devontae, you're a hypocrite. You want CM Punk back in WWE, but you had a problem with him being in AEW. No, I had a problem with CM Punk the person, regardless. Whether he's in WWE or AEW, my whole contention on CM Punk has been consistent. If you guys follow my old Millennial Smart channel, you would know that my vitriol for CM Punk has always been him as a person. Putting that to the side and looking at it strictly from a business perspective, and I talked about this in the past, him coming to WWE, and I said this plenty of times, would actually be great only from the standpoint that the machine is not only bigger within WWE, and I think people need to understand this, just like no one watches NXT to the degree that some of the wrestlers come up and they don't get certain pops, they don't get anything talked about them. There may be certain fans that may be familiar with them because of their name in NXT, because it's linked to WWE, but there are a lot of superstars underneath the WWE umbrella on NXT, on cable television, that aren't familiar with these superstars. And I don't put it past anybody to believe that they just didn't know that CM Punk, it sounds crazy, I know, but some people didn't know that CM Punk was, quite frankly, in AEW because they didn't watch AEW. Or maybe they did know he was in AEW and they just didn't pay it any mind. So for those people, this is a fresh new slate. Like this is, for some, I will even say, they probably didn't even know that CM Punk was within AEW and thought he was gone from professional wrestling for the better part of a decade nearly. So for them, this is a brand new world to see CM Punk in. And for people who want to call me a hypocrite or say that I'm having double standards, again, you can take it for what you will. I've always held a contention. My perspective in regards to CM Punk has always been about him as a person. I've never disagreed with him doing business and him not being an asset to business when it comes to WWE because of the propaganda machine behind WWE that can put him on a higher pedestal in comparison to AEW. That's just my perspective, and I think if it doesn't hold any weight, then by all rights, you can let me know as to why you disagree with me. We can have a conversation about it, but let me hear your thoughts down in the comment section below. How do you feel about this whole situation with CM Punk being in WWE now? Do you want to see him back? Do you not want to see him back? Do you feel he's going to cause more problems than he's actually worth? I actually want to get some conversation started in regards to my theory that he left and I'm pretty sure I'm not the first guy to come out with this theory, but I'm probably the first guy to kind of put his foot into the ground to believe that this happens to be the case. And I don't think anyone has ever actually discussed the precedent in regards to this being the case not even 25 years ago within WCW, or I guess over 25 years ago in WCW, as if this hasn't been a situation that's ever happened beforehand. Let me get some conversation started in the comment section below. This should be very interesting. As always, my name is Devontae, and if any more news comes out in regards to CM Punk in particular, I want to hear what Tony Khan has to say about this. I'm very, very curious as to what his opinion is in regards to this whole situation. We'll talk about it then. But as always, my name is Devontae, and I'll be catching you fine gents later. Deuces, P-Eyes.